Perfect. I think we should be on so right about now. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Thursday. And I guess to all my Muslim friends, Eid Mubarak to all of you. Today, Ben and I are super excited to have Daniel Hauser join us. Daniel is a 2004 born goalie living out of Chestermere, Alberta. He has been on many different teams over the years. As a youngster, he played for the U8, U12, U13, and U15 Western Canada Selects. He was selected and played in the Alberta Cup tournament for Team Alberta Green. Played U15 AAA and U18 AA with both the Okotoks Oilers and the Edge School for Athletes. And this season, he started 8 games in the WHL for the Winnipeg Ice. So, Daniel, welcome to the stream.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Hey, no, our pleasure, man. Our pleasure. So, really, the reason why I want to talk to you mostly is because you're in quite a unique situation this year with the whole COVID bubble and all that fun stuff. Plus, there's always those talks about how difficult it is to make the jump from minor hockey to junior. So I think we thought you'd be the perfect guy to talk to you about that.
Yeah, the other thing that's interesting for your specific situation is most of the time when guys make the jump from midget straight to juniors, they have a longer process to adapt. The other thing you go through the training camp, which is 45 players, only half of which are going to make it, and then from there you slowly hit each bottleneck on the way. And then the skill level gets better and better. Whereas you went straight from midget to a team of 23 guys that are all regulars in the Western Hockey League. So there really wasn't that transition period of the camp. So it's a pretty unique situation for you as well.
Yeah. The one thing that I want to ask you, because Ben just mentioned climbing, the bottleneck getting smaller and smaller, is as you kind of climb up the ladder, the skaters get they get better, and more resources are spent towards achieving certain goals, right? Because the stakes are higher. And I understand that being in the bubble, this might have affected things a little bit, but did you notice a big difference in the resources available to you in the WHL over what's available to you in U18?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, with our staff, we had a pretty good setup at the rink, and back at the dorms, we had a lot of, I guess, everything's pretty advanced now. We had a lot of kind of technology that we used for recovery and for skill development. And like you said, kind of when you make that jump, there's a lot more resources that go into kind of giving you the best chance of success. So compared to U18, it was pretty eye-opening and pretty cool for sure.
That's cool. The when it comes down to like all those resources, like let's say you said recovery, like what kind of things are kind of available to you in that sense?
We had I think they're called Normatex, if I'm not wrong.
Okay.
So we had a few pairs of those. I think they just compress your legs and kind of get all the acid out of your legs.
Oh, cool.
We had some
Sweet.
cold tubs, some hot tubs, I guess. And, we had a trainer and a guy helping him out. So pretty well ran, I guess. And yeah.
That's super cool. The how does that work? So do you go? Is there a certain because I'm sure you kind of use all those. Like, did you use any of those things like for recovery purposes?
Yeah, I found the Normatex pretty nice.
Yeah.
They kind of after our practices there, when you hop in those, your legs are a bit tired, and you hop in those, and you definitely feel a lot better. So.
Is there like a certain sequence that you're supposed to do? Like, are you supposed to use that one first and then like the hot tub, or like how does that work?
To be honest, I just kind of did whatever our trainer told me to do. So I think
I guess they would know.
He knows what he's talking about. He's pretty good at what he does. So
Sweet.
Just kind of did what he said was best.
Fair enough. The with the jump of the game being, usually people talk about the speed of it, right, being faster. Did you find it there's a big gap in between U18 and the WHL?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it might come a bit obvious, but like the pace of play and how fast it is really eye opening. Probably I think every night you're playing, everyone in the league is very skilled, and you're playing NHL draft picks some nights.
Yeah.
So just the way they're able to think the game and execute at such a high pace was pretty eye opening, and definitely something I thought I had to kind of learn to adapt to.
Yeah, when
Yeah.
you say learn to adapt, what type of adjustments did you have to make, or did you notice would give you a better chance at making reads on plays that are incredibly high paced?
Well, I think just being pretty aware, kind of using your awareness, always shoulder checking. Um, I think one thing that helped me out a lot was kind of being patient, not really overcommitting to something. So guys in the league can make a pass you might not see, or hit a shot you thought you had covered. So I think being really patient and kind of you know letting them make the first move was pretty big for me.
Fair.
How did your time in practice help you adapt to that? Like, I know your team specifically is quite skilled. Is there any habits that you tried to incorporate through your practice
So
that allows you to
guys.
make those adjustments quicker in game situations? Anything that you particularly focused on when you jumped on the ice for practice?
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, our team had quite a few guys who are pretty good at hockey. So it was really good for me to be seeing their shots every day. And I think in practice, what I was kind of focusing on the most was my tracking, uh, my kind of post save response, and patience. I think were probably the top top things I was focusing on.
When you talk about patience with obviously the release of the shot probably happens much faster, right? So did you find it in a way easier to activate down into a save from your feet than it is at a slightly lower level, just because at a lower level the release takes a little bit longer? So was it easier in a way to make sure you stayed on your feet till after the shot release?
Yeah, in a way, yeah. I think the way the guys kind of snap the puck and are able to get it off so quickly, it kind of definitely makes you a bit more patient, and you find out pretty quick when you're not patient how they can pick their spots and kind of pick you apart a little bit.
No, that's fair. Is there some specific areas that you thought that you did very well, or in other areas that you think you need to improve?
Yeah, I mean, I thought honestly my mental game in the bubble was great. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's almost as big of a part of the game of goaltending as the actual playing is. So
Yeah.
I think the way I handled myself mentally was great. Uh, not getting too overwhelmed, not getting too high or too low. Um, and in my play, I think like I said before, kind of dialed into my patience, dialed into shoulder check-in, making sure I'm always aware of potential threats, potential passes. So I'd say those are probably the top two for me.
Did you think there was a big difference between your mental state between the first game and then your last game? Did you feel maybe more nervous in the first game you did in the last game? Was it pretty much even the whole way through?
Uh, I mean, yeah, honestly, that first game, I think the nerves set in a little bit, being my
Yeah.
very first taste, right?
Yeah.
So I think as I kind of got more opportunities and got more reps in, I think um, I got more comfortable, got more confident, and compared to from the first game compared to the last game, I thought I grew quite a bit.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that, man. The first game definitely looked like you're a little bit stiffer, and as it went, like every game you go looser and looser till the last game. I think like you look at the highlights and it's just you making saves. The whole highlight package is you making saves. And
Right.
there's yeah, you could totally see it, man. You're getting definitely looser, more relaxed as it went. So it's not as good, really good to see.
Yeah, when you mentioned your mental stability, your ability to not really get too high or too low, is there some type of routine that you go through? Like I'm sure you have a pregame routine, but just as a general, as sort of a general routine, is there anything that you specifically do to make sure that you know if you're feeling a little bit too high, you're able to calm yourself down, or if you're feeling one of the lows, you're able to kind of get yourself back to that even keel place? Is there any strategies that you particularly employ
Yeah.
or
Well, I think
use?
a lot of it, I don't know, kind of stems from just kind of my personality. I think, in
Totally.
general, I'm a pretty calm guy. Um, but over the whole phase of the bubble, I started using a lot of breathing methods. We had a mental skills coach with the team, and she gave me some breathing exercises, I guess, that really help you to calm down and kind of
Mhm.
help you stay in the moment, I guess.
My
Cool. And now, would you use that? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, DK.
Oh, I was just gonna. It has nothing to do with. Well, kind of has something to do with what you're saying. I was just gonna say that my wife keeps making fun of breathing exercises. She thinks it's a complete waste of time. So I'm gonna make her listen to this podcast and just put it in her
Yeah.
face. Eh?
No, for sure.
So,
Definitely underrated in my opinion.
Totally.
yeah. Total. You're just sitting there doing nothing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Was there any specific times that you noticed? Like, did you have a breathing routine or a breathing technique that you'd use, say, in games, in between whistles, and maybe something different that you'd use in your pregame routine? Is there any specifics?
Kind of during games, I kind of just zone out, but
Fair enough.
and I don't know, say if I kind of got a little nerve wracking in a game, I'd use the box breathing method. I think it's 3 seconds in, hold for 3, and then out for 5. I think so.
Okay.
Okay.
I found that really kind of dials in your mind, calms down your mind, and kind of gets you ready for the next play, I guess, next
Cool.
puck.
I was actually listening to an audiobook not too long ago. I can't remember what the actual name was, but it was actually about breathing, and they talk a lot about the exhale, how important the exhale is, how we often just focus more on the inhale, but don't really focus much on the exhale, and they talk a lot about the fundamentals of breathing. How I believe the exhale. And Ben, I think you probably know a little bit more about it than I do. Doesn't the Excel kind of balance the amount of CO2 that that your body is inhibiting or something that it retains? Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The exhale. That's you're releasing CO2, as well as a lot of times people will take longer exhales. I know from a muscle tension perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're exhaling, the longer your exhale is, the more muscle tension you release. If you have short exhales, you're going to hold muscle tension. That's why when people are talking about using breathing to manage energy, so for example, how you mentioned trying to calm yourself down. So in that sense of like the box method, you mentioned the 3-3-5. The longer exhale is going to release muscle tension and help you calm. Whereas if people are trying to energize themselves, I don't know if you've been in a gym and seen somebody like before they lift a really heavy weight, they exhale a number of times very quickly, like so that's going to increase your muscle tension, which in the event of lifting weight is going to be something that really helps you. But in the event of trying to
Relaxing.
make saves and trying to be calm and make reads, it's probably going to inhibit you. So Um, yeah, I'm not really sure the mechanics of the CO2 release, but I know that the longer your exhale, if you have a longer exhale than an inhale, it's going to help relieve your muscle tension.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I completely forgot what it was. It was actually exhaling through the nose instead of exhaling through the mouth. I believe
Okay.
that it is that when you're exhaling through the nose, you're actually balancing your CO2 levels a lot more than when you're exhaling through your mouth. When you're exhaling through your mouth, you're retaining more oxygen than if you're doing it through the nose, but it actually doesn't allow you to perform as well when it comes down to your cardio, from what I remember. Was when you were doing your breathing exercises, did you have to breathe through the nose and then exhale through the mouth, or was it all through the nose, or how did that go?
yeah, I think the box breathing was through the nose, out the mouth for
Okay,
those counts.
okay, interesting, interesting, cool. The with the bubble, like what were the how was your experience like when you showed up? Like, what did you guys have to do? Because I know you had to quarantine for a bit, right? So how did that go? How what were the rules like?
Yeah. So when we showed up, I think it was pretty late February. We got there, and we had to go through a 2 week quarantine period. So it was pretty pretty tough, kind of boring. Um, so we were in our little quads there, our little apartment things there, but we weren't allowed outside our own personal rooms.
Oh, so you're stuck at
So
home the whole time.
yeah, yeah. So we were in there, but the team did a great job. We had a lot of Zoom calls, a lot of work, like virtual workouts,
Yep.
some yoga, a lot of mental skills sessions, some team value calls. So and on top of that, I had schoolwork to do. So as much as it did kind of suck a little bit being all cooped up, we definitely had still had a lot to do.
Kept you busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. One thing that I wanted to ask a little bit about, and you just previously mentioned it, is with the team. You said you guys had a lot of team calls. Um, did you notice a difference in team dynamics at the level that you were playing compared to in midget? Like, did the team maybe did you find like the team bonded a little bit more? They were more collaborative with each other, or I guess what was your experience and the difference in how the team interacted with each other?
Yeah. I mean, 100%. I think the group we did have in the bubble, I think was pretty special group, pretty tight group. Um, everyone kind of everyone bought into our values, I guess, and being a new guy, wasn't really sure what to expect. Um, didn't really know a ton of the guys, but they were great, and kind of welcoming all the new guys, and um, I guess introducing us to the team and how it all functions.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Like the reason why I ask is um, the one thing with team dynamics that I've learned about is the two different types of like team cohesion, your social cohesion and task cohesion. So task cohesion is you mentioned the team value calls like does everyone on the team share the same goals, and then the social cohesion is how well do guys bond. And being in the bubble specifically, the task cohesion would probably be quite simple because everyone wants to do well, everyone wants to make the jump to the next level, but the social cohesion might not be as easy to attain. Your team bonding activities are extremely limited.
Yeah,
So
for
yeah,
sure.
how'd you find that you just kind of did you find that you kind of meshed right away with everybody else, or how'd that feel?
Yeah. Well, being in the bubble, we're kind of with each other 24/7
Yeah.
there. So like I said before, our team had a lot of good guys, like really, really, really good guys. So it was pretty easy to mesh with all of them, and I think, like you touched on there, we all kind of had a collective goal. We all want to see each other, all wanted to see each other do well, and um, you know, make the most of kind of the unique opportunity we had.
On the coaching side, did you find a big difference between minor hockey coaching versus being a WHL? What I mean by that is not necessarily like the skill level, because maybe the approach might be different for when you're coaching midget versus when you're coaching the CHL. But did you find a big difference in the style of coaching from midget to major junior?
Yeah, I mean, I think in midget, it's I guess everywhere it is,
Same.
development's a big part of it, but I think as you get to major junior and that next level, um, you kind of you gotta work for everything you get. Um, nothing really, nothing's really given to you. You kind of gotta work, work your hardest, and I think that definitely goes a long way for the coaches, and just like systems wise, there's a lot of different plays UNC and midget compared to the Western League. So
Do you think that part of it is just the how the coaching is slightly like the coaches are slightly more skilled, so they can teach some systems that are more that are different, that are out of the ordinary, I guess you could say, or is it because the players can execute better, so you can just create more complicated systems out of it?
I think it's probably a bit of both.
Okay.
Um, Especially with our coaching staff, a lot of experience, a lot of NHL experience. Uh, I think we had some European pro experience too. So, they obviously have a lot of knowledge about the game. And in addition to that, I think, the skill that we had on our team and that is in the league, I think those two factors kind of complement each other
Mm-hmm.
and, make for some pretty high pace and pretty impressive coaching and games and play.
Fair. So one thing I was going to ask you about is, you know, a lot of times we hear about the pressure that comes with being a goalie, and how a lot of goalies kind of feel responsible, a big sense of responsibility, and it's mostly due to having the greatest individual impact on our team's success. Do you feel that pressure, and does it increase, decrease, or remain the same as you move up a level?
Yeah, I think it's always kind of there. Being the goalie, there's really when you make a mistake, there's nowhere to hide. Can't go sit on the bench and hide on the bench. But I think something that's helped me a lot, especially when games get super important at the next level. Um, I kind of like to view it as pressure being a privilege. Like you kind of want to be in those pressure situations because I guess that means you're doing something right.
Okay.
If you're being trusted and you're given that opportunity to play with that much pressure, it should be something that kind of motivates you and gets you up and wants you to play good.
Yeah, totally. It's kind of like that extra sense of responsibility kind of either crush you, or it can just make you stronger out of it, right? So you're just taking
Exactly.
option number two.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
when you say it's something you work for, it's kind of the reward. The reward for all your hard work is to
Yeah,
play in the big games, play in the game seven. So it's like if that's not what you're striving for, why are you doing all the work?
exactly.
Did you guys have a goalie coach during the during in the bubble, or was it mostly done remotely?
We did have a goalie coach, but he wasn't in the bubble with us.
Oh,
So
okay.
Yeah, we had a video software, I guess, that would review our game footage and give us all the touches we had in the game,
Hmm.
and we'd hop on Zoom with him and kind of go over the video, and he'd give us some feedback, and yeah, just kind of it was all done. It was all done virtually.
Oh, that's interesting. And do you like because you've been a goalie for a while, and I know sometimes it can be difficult for goalies to move from goalie coach to goalie coach because sometimes details may be different from one coach to another, right? How do you find that happens often where you kind of get contradicting information, and how do you kind of handle it?
Yeah, I think every coach kind of has a different take
Mm-hmm.
with what works for what they think works. So I think just kind of being I don't really know what the word is here, but kind of just being accountable
Yes.
for your game and knowing what works best for you. Every goalie's different. Every everyone has a different style, I guess. So
Yeah.
I think kind of just taking as much as you can in, and then picking from what you get with and figuring out what works best and complements your game the best.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. It's one of those things. It's we the reason why I was asking, there's a lot of goalies that we coach that are younger, especially, and they train with the same coaches for a while, and when they get to a high enough level, they finally get a goalie coach, and then things are different, and sometimes they don't really know how to handle it, right? And I think it's
Yeah,
part of it is a skill to be able to understand what you're good at, what you need to work on, and also being able to listen to opposing views, different information that you haven't been exposed to before, and being able to critically think about whether it makes sense for you or not, and being able to even have that discussion with your goalie coach. If, let's say, you disagree, how do you even bring it up? How do you even discuss it, right? So it's one of those
right.
things. It's definitely a good skill to have as you move up.
Yeah,
100%.
the importance of self knowledge can't be understated there too. Like you mentioned in your discussion a number of times, knowing what works for you. That can only come through, as you've been a goalie for a number of years, only come through years of reflection. Years of not necessarily trial and error, but knowing yourself after games, what went well, what didn't. You're always analyzing. You're always being in yeah, you're basically always analyzing your performance in both practice and games, and that's what gives you the knowledge and the confidence to talk to goalie coaches about what works for you and who you are.
Yeah, 100%.
Just most goalies have somebody they kind of look up to, at least an ideal they strive towards. Some people kind of look up to NHLers, others to family members, or whatever else. Do you look up to anybody specifically, or strive towards any ideals?
Yeah, I you know, in the NHL there, I try to model a bit of Vasilevsky. I think the way he plays, the way he uses his athleticism and his tracking ability. It's pretty fun to watch, and definitely some I try to kind of incorporate into my game as well.
Cool. Yeah, that's he's I haven't watched him as much as I should have. And everybody always talks to me about him. They just keep talking about his athleticism all the time, and
Mm-hmm.
that's all I've seen. I've seen his highlights, and his highlights are they're amazing. But
Yeah,
I need to sit down and watch him play one day. Actually, like, sit down and watch him play, because I'm really curious. And I know how. I know your playing style. Obviously, I know how good of a puck stopper and how athletic you are. So and I know you have a very good knowledge base of the game as a whole. So if you really like him, there must be something. There must be something there. And obviously, he's been dominating the NHL for a while. So I
yeah,
definitely should pay a bit more attention to him.
yeah. And honestly, uh, my one of my goalie partners in the bubble, Carl
Mhm.
Stankowski. He's a big UC Saros guy,
Oh, nice.
so I
Nice.
kind of started watching him a bit too. Not the definitely not the biggest guy, so a little bit of similarity there.
Yeah.
And he's really fun to watch too. Pretty athletic, but at the same time, very very efficient with what he does.
Yeah, I watched him play quite a bit actually, and I was I when we do videos for camps and all those things, he's one of the best guys I like to use for rush. He does such a good job. There's a lot of guys who I find kind of release late off their goal line and they seek out backwards real fast to be able to keep up with the speedy attack. But he's one of those guys where he does a really good job with his release off the rush releases early, and he does a really good job of drifting back with the play and keeping his feet quiet. I really like him, especially
Yeah,
like you
I'm a
said,
big
small guy.
yeah, big fan of his traffic management as well. Like
Yeah.
I think he's one of the most skilled goaltenders in the NHL. When you watch him play, he doesn't possess the physical attributes that most of the guys do. Like I think the average height's over 6'2" NHL now, but he's maybe because of that he is one of them. You mentioned the most efficient and most skilled guys to watch play.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that too. But again, saying he's the most skilled guy when I haven't even watched Vasilevsky, I guess I can't. I can't really comment.
That's fair. Fair point.
And the reason why I was asking you about who you look up to is, you're because you've probably been in that situation before as a younger kid, but like that when you move up the hockey hierarchy, the more eyes start paying attention to you, right? And a lot of those eyes are from younger kids who really start to idolize you. So they really start paying attention to your behavior and how you act. They observe what you say and what you do. Does that feel like an extra sense of responsibility for you, where you have to become, you have to be the best person you can be because those kids are always looking up to you?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's honestly, I think it's a good thing. Like you said, being a young goalie, there's nothing cooler than seeing guys who are at the next level, and those older guys working hard and working hard at dialing their game. So I think there is a bit of a responsibility there, but I think if you're a good person, you work hard, there should be no problems at all.
Mm-hmm. The reason I was asking you is I know there's a few goalies who obsess over your training videos. They just study them all the time.
Yeah.
We get some people sometimes are like, oh, just my extensions feel better, but it's just not like Daniel Hauser yet. And I'm sure one of them in particular I know is listening right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's cool that you're aware of it, that they're paying attention to you, and that you want to be a role model in different ways. I know I've seen you obviously carry yourself very well, but one thing that really impressed me, and I think it was when you were either going into your second year bantam or your first year bantam. I can't really remember exactly, but I went to some of your spring program ice times in Chestermere.
Yeah.
And just seeing you, for one, going on the ice with the younger kids. I think you were on the ice with the peewees or kids going into bantam. And a lot of times I hear about goalies saying like, oh, they get offered to go to some ice times, and the first thing they ask about is like, well, how good are the shooters, right? And just right away seeing you go on the ice with the younger players, and you could see you're way more skilled than they were, but you just taking it seriously and actually like trying to stop every puck and being detailed in the way you're stopping pucks. And even in your habits in practice, where a lot of goalies get lazy after a few shots. They kind of just start coming out 3 feet out of the crease, so the puck's hit them in the chest, and you're trying to handle every single play like you would in a game. And that just goes to show like how you act and how hard you work will go a long way through your career. So yeah, I think it's a real good thing, a real good example you're setting for those younger goalies.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think not really, especially like now, it's really in context, not taking anything for granted, right? I think if you go out every practice and work your hardest, and pay attention to those details. It'll only benefit you.
Totally.
Yeah, I think it's something that you've mentioned a number of times is really relevant in that the last exchange is the focus on yourself versus other factors. In the example of you going out with players who are obviously less skilled, instead of worrying about how skilled the shooters are, you're skill focused. You're focused on your own individual development rather than focused on things that are happening around you. And coming back to self knowledge and self awareness, that's part of the reason why you're able to carry yourself so confidently. It's because you put in all the time and effort to focus on your own individual skill set and very, very little focus on other people.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you feel like that becomes easier as you move up a level, just because other players are just more responsible with their position? Where when you play at a lower level, you have to worry a bit more about what your defense is doing all the time, what this player is doing, and now that everybody's got a high skill level, you just can just easily focus on yourself. Do you find that there's a big difference there when you move up levels?
Yeah, I think kind of moving up to the WHL here. I think everyone kind of has that self-awareness. So like you said, you don't really gotta worry about if the D-men's doing their jobs, if they're if they're bought in or not, if they're picking up their guys, I guess. Mm-hmm. So it definitely helps a little bit, little less to worry about. But I think as like I said, as you move up, it kind of the behavior and the mindsets of the players you definitely see a change.
That's something I picked up, but I think it was Justin that talked to me about Nathan Lewin. I think Justin, after Nathan Lewin had his first NHL game, Justin asked him that question, like if it was harder, and I think it was Nathan Lewin. I could be wrong, but Lewin said that it was one of the easiest games he's played because all he had to do is focus on himself because he knew that everybody else was going to do their job, right? So that's it's interesting to think about that. Although the stakes get higher as you move up levels, it in a way gets easier because all you gotta do is worry about yourself, and you don't have to worry about all these external factors.
Yeah, 100%. I know, like you said, it can be a little ruthless at times. Especially if you're a young guy. If you make a mistake, and then you're a D-man or you're a forward, you might not see another shift.
Yeah.
So I think the way everyone's in the league for a reason. Everyone knows how to play their role, how to play their position at a very high level. So yeah, like you said, it definitely helps when you can kind of focus more on yourself and not worry about a shaky D-man or something.
We all often talk about the importance of goal setting for short term and a long term. Do you have any long term and short term goals?
Yeah, I think for long term there, I think, or I don't know if it would be long term or not, but kind of reaching into next year, I think being my a little bit older, my second year in the league, I think I kind of want to push for that starting spot. I had a goal before this whole bubble to play in the dub my 16-year-old season.
Yep.
And I'm really proud and really grateful that I got to do that, but I think it only motivates me now to push further, and I've really want to see myself earn that starting spot for next year.
Absolutely. And when it comes down to your, now we're considered to be in the off season for you, right? Do you have any plans for what you want to do to get yourself ready for next year? Like when it comes down to ice times, workouts, or any of those things?
Yeah, I got I got my trainer lined up for a pretty big off season. Obviously stay working with you guys. I think that helps me out a lot for sure. Um, Probably hop in a few player ice times. I don't know, just see some shots, see some game like stuff, and as stuff starts to come up here, I think I'll probably add on a bit to that list.
Fair.
Probably mix in some lake days too.
Yeah, that's something I kind of wanted to ask you. Nick and I had a discussion about it last week in off-season training. Like, how do you specifically like to balance goalie sessions, goalie training with sessions with players or practice style sessions? Is there a specific ratio that you like to do in the off-season, or do you like to do goalie sessions earlier and then player sessions later? How do you find that balance?
Well, personally, I think like it's probably different for everyone, right? But
Mm-hmm.
personally, especially in the off season, I like to get on with you guys, get on those goalie sessions to really really dial in the details, and then I don't know if there's a ratio, but I definitely think the majority of my ice times in the off season are those goalie sessions, and then take what you get from those and hop on a shooting session and try your best to incorporate all you can into those.
Okay. Is there any specific time that you prefer to jump out for the player sessions? Like, do you prefer to do it later in the off season or earlier in the off season, or kind of at the same time that you're doing your goalie sessions?
To be honest, I'm not really too picky when.
Just as they come up.
I guess yeah. I mean, if an opportunity comes up, and I like I said, I like to keep that balance. Definitely more goalie sessions, but I think as stuff comes up, as opportunities come up, and I can make it. I think I want to take advantage.
Yeah, definitely. That's interesting. When Nick and I chatted last week, that's sort of what we came up to. Is it's kind of up to each individual goaltender based on their feeling. And now we have the opportunity to ask somebody what they think about it. So
Exactly.
yeah.
No, it's now when it comes down to your off ice training, with your trainer, is it have you been with the same trainer for a few years? Is there a new trainer, and what are your plans for? And I know do you just when you approach a trainer, do you say, hey, this is like kind of what I'm looking for, or do you just let them go ahead and build you into a machine basically?
Well, I think off ice when looking at a player compared to a goalie, I think it's quite different. Um, Recently, I've started boxing actually.
Yes, you told me
So
that.
a few months before we hit the bubble there, I started boxing. So started out there. My trainer who I work with there, he's a hockey guy, and I think he's pretty knowledgeable of what it takes to be successful as a goalie, I guess. Like explosive movements, uh, those high twitch muscle fibers. He's all into that deep science stuff. So yeah, as of late, I've been boxing for my off ice, and I think it's been awesome.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I've done fighting for quite a few years, and obviously not in the last year because we're not allowed. But
Yeah,
the yeah, it's one of those things like for one, I think it crossing to different sports is instead of kind of just doing cardio on its own, doing boxing I think probably helps. It makes it a little bit less boring because you're learning a new skill as you're working out, right?
yeah.
But did you find there's anything within the sport of boxing that allowed you to become a better goalie? Any skills that kind of transitioned over to goaltending specifically?
Yeah, like I said, that whole explosive movement part of it. I think that was pretty huge. Boxing's a lot of hand-eye coordination. Uh, a lot of that kind of got to stay loose. Can't be rigid.
Yes.
So in a lot of ways, I found it really kind of correlates with being a goalie and goaltending. So uh, I think the way once I started it, I loved it, and I think I saw a lot of similarities between being a goalie.
Oh, that's awesome. Now the question is, when can we get you on the jiu-jitsu mats?
Anytime, give me a
When regulations permit.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
totally.
Give me a
Totally.
time and place.
That's awesome. That is
Yeah.
awesome. Now with in Alberta, the COVID regulations make it hard for us to do anything fitness related inside facilities and stuff. So for now, you trying to work out from home, and like what are you trying to do until things kind of reopen up there?
Yeah, I got a pretty good setup here at home. I got a bag set up. I got gloves.
Sweet.
I got a bench press. I got a squat rack, some dumbbells. So
Yeah, you got everything.
Yeah, you're good
yeah,
to
I
go.
mean, I'm pretty spoiled here. But I've been running a little bit. Um, so I think even though everything's shut down, I mean, you can still be doing things, right?
Yes.
Even if you don't have a lot of access to equipment, I think you could take a look on the internet or reach out to, I guess, you, like, I don't know if you guys would have anything or not. I'm sure you guys would.
Mhm.
You could reach out to you guys and yeah, stay active and stay improving, I guess, as everything's locked down here.
That's fair. It seems to be an excuse that most people have right now. It's like, oh, I can't work out because the gyms are closed. Like, have you ever heard of
Yeah.
a park?
Yeah.
A yoga mat. You got a yoga mat?
Or even like just do burpees for 5 minutes straight. You'll get a workout out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
The with with the season kind of coming up in you guys are back in August or September for the team.
For the team, I think they're looking at. I'm not 100% on this, but I think they're looking at October.
October, okay, so a little bit of a later kind of start there. So you obviously have a lot of time to get ready for next year. So you said you have kind of like your off ice stuff looked at, and you have your on ice as well. Are you do you like to do any visualization or continue doing breathing exercises during the off season, or do you just prefer to just focus mostly on the off ice workouts and the on ice?
Uh, Honestly, I don't actually do a ton of visualization
Mm-hmm.
in the off season. I think most of my focus is kind of shifted towards getting strong,
Yes.
kind of getting detailed in my game. So I think might be pretty beneficial to maybe start doing that. But if I'm being honest, I don't really utilize a lot of that in the off season.
No, I think at the end of the day, there's only a certain amount of time that you can utilize to get better at certain things. So you got to figure out what should be prioritized. So all it is you're prioritizing other things, and if it works for you, it works, right? So I don't think there's
And
anything wrong with
if you
it.
don't mind me saying, like, I think that you do implement your mental skills. You just do it while you're. Oh, sorry for the noise. My dog just jumped in the room.
Hi, Luna.
I, you do implement your mental skills, like when you're training and when you're on ice. When you're in your on ice sessions with players, it's not that you're disregarding training on mental skills. You just found a way to incorporate it into your regular training routine rather than having to do it as a separate training exercise altogether. Is this
Yeah,
been my experience working with you, if you don't mind me saying? I think you do a really good job of maintaining composure and trying to stay calm without really having to take the time aside from the ice time in order to prepare to do that.
Right. Yeah. I think, like you said, the more you start to incorporate it, sometimes it just happens without you even knowing it. Right. So I think that's pretty good point. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah. It's just efficiency. You're using your time very wisely.
Right.
Yeah.
The one thing that we talked about before you went out to Winnipeg was how your practices would in a way be an extended tryout, right? Because you're going to get to practice a lot with a team and be there for a few months. Did you, and obviously you got to play 8 games out of it. Did you kind of treat your practice as a somewhat of a tryout? Like, did you mentally prepare differently for those practices at first, just to kind of use it as a way to quote unquote prove yourself to the team and the coaching staff?
100%. Yeah. Going into it, I really wasn't sure how many games I was going to get. So kind of in those, I guess, pre-bubble Zoom calls, our coach just stressed that, everything's earned. So I think I kind of kept that in mind. And as we hit the practices, I tried to, show the greatest work ethic I could. Trust in my abilities and in my skills, and I think that went a long way, especially the work ethic and the little paying attention to the little details. I think that went a long way, and it ended up working out. I got some opportunities, and tried to make the most of it.
What was that like for your parents when you told them you were gonna get to start some games?
Yeah, it's pretty exciting, pretty special. I know my dad had a call with the GM, and he said, I might get 0 games, I might get 1 game, might get 10 games. Like, we have no idea. So it was pretty special. I think I got the call just second game into the season. So gave my parents a call and told them, and it was pretty special moment, and probably a moment I'll remember for a very long time.
That's awesome, man. Funny thing is, I think just from texting with your dad when you got the first start, that he was probably a lot more nervous than you were. So it was good to see you do well.
Yeah, that's I think that's usually how it is. Not gonna lie, but he's pretty passionate, and they both are, and I honestly can't thank them enough for. I couldn't have been there without them, right? So it was really special.
No, it goes a long way when you have parents that support you and do everything they can to allow you to achieve your dreams. I know your parents are definitely like that, so that's really good.
100%.
There's somebody on Instagram that wanted us to ask you a question. Andy_Fraser_79, and he says, how to make sure you make it over your opponents. I'm assuming he's talking about tryouts. So, like, what's your philosophy on that? How do you make it over your opponents?
In the context of tryouts?
That's what I'm assuming.
Okay. Like I kind of touched on there, I think just that work ethic piece. I think if you're willing to, show that you're willing to do anything to get an opportunity, or to do what's best for the team and for team success, I think that definitely goes a long way for me personally, and I'm betting it goes a long way for a lot of coaches out there. So for that question, I think I just stress that work ethic.
No, that's a good answer. And for Ben, you've coached junior for quite a few years. What would be your answer to that question as well?
I think the work ethic piece is very important. I think it's attached to the work ethic piece. I think the ability to adapt.
Mm-hmm.
As we bring this up quite often, but the name of our company is Evolution Goaltending Corporation. Is how you adapt when the situation changes. And as you mentioned, junior, the Western Hockey League in particular is quite a bit different from midget. So if goalies are strictly set in their ways, there's some habits or some strategies that they have that aren't really well adapted from midget to junior. And I think the goalies that make it, the goalies that are able to continue progressing, are the ones that are able to adapt to any circumstance. So, work ethic, as Daniel mentioned, work ethic. I don't strictly think of work ethic in the sense of quote hard work, like gritting and bearing it and competing on every puck, even though those things are important. I see work ethic as more of
Prerequisite, maybe.
well, I was going to say an all-inclusive or holistic
Mm-hmm.
term that means being able to learn. Having a strong work ethic doesn't just mean diving in front of every save when you don't have a chance. It means taking the time to learn the new skills or the new strategies that you need to implement. And as Daniel mentioned, taking the time to be patient in practice to be able to implement those skills into a game. To me, that's what I think would allow someone to make it over their competitors.
And talking about adaptability, Daniel, with you going to next year, are there any skills that you would really prioritize that you really want to get better at into going to next season?
Yeah, I think getting a little bit of a taste this year. I think I really want to focus on my traffic management.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of teams really utilize that, and there's some big guys
Yeah.
that they throw in front of the net. So I think if I could dial that in, that would be real huge for me for next year.
That was something I know. There's one game. It was the most ridiculous tip I've seen in a while, where somebody just kind of skated in front of you.
Your first game? Yeah.
It might have been the first game.
Oh yeah.
It was just like the most ridiculous tip. Where it's like, man, it looked like you handled it really, really well. Your center shifting, everything was really good, and it was the most ridiculous tip ever. And it just, I can totally see what you're saying there.
Yeah, I think. Some guy, honestly, like some teams, some of the D-men, they shoot 3 feet wide on purpose, and they're looking for tips. So I think, and plus you probably got a guy in front of you that you got to worry about as well. So it's quite the adjustment for sure.
Yeah, it's a lot of layers, right? Like the in tight screen, and guys a little bit higher as well, and any of them can touch that puck or multiple times maybe. Have any teams try to utilize the boards? Mostly been trying to get deflections off of those shots.
Yeah, that's funny you say that. Brandon, the Wheat Kings there, they sometimes on their rush, I probably butcher this trying to explain this here, but they'll have say they'll be coming down the left side of the neutral zone, and they'll have one guy on the right side, and they'll like blast it off the opposite corner, and it'll take a bounce like right out front, right to the guy on the right, kind of trailing in behind them. So it's definitely something I've never seen that before in a game. So it's pretty crazy, honestly.
It's interesting being in situations where you just see different situations you've never experienced before. It definitely changes your perspective on the game as a whole. So that's super cool.
Yeah, for sure.
There's
sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it just changes on like what's possible.
Yes.
And you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
As soon as you make the jump to the higher level, guys can make plays that you didn't think they could. Like what is strictly possible within the skill set or within the bounds of hockey can be totally new to you just because you've never experienced that skill set before.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it was the Broncos. And was that your first game against the Broncos?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, against Swift.
I think they had this set play there, and I don't know if you may have noticed it. Is they would set up the puck low corridor, kind of like bottom circle, uh, and they would kind of have a screen set up there in front as well. So it was kind of an interesting setup, I thought, because they would kind of force goalies to go down to a post lane and get a screen going in front, and then it made it super hard to be able to react to low corridor shots. I don't know if you noticed it. It looked to me like they tried to set it up a few times. They just couldn't execute it the way that they wanted to. But I thought it was kind of interesting how they're trying to utilize. A lot of times when we think about screens, we think about screens where shots are coming from the point. But then it looked like they're trying to utilize screens from the low corridor, and I never really seen that that much before. And when they were trying to get you on those kind of plays, it was interesting because a lot of goalies in their pulsing kind of stay compact and passive from that position, but you're a pretty reactive guy. You try to utilize your hands and your elbows and shoulders to make those saves. So it just didn't happen to you, but it was super interesting to see them setting up that play.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think now that you bring that up, that does kind of ring a bell. I think another team who did that a little bit was Regina.
Oh, okay. I don't think I saw that game actually. It was probably one of those games where you were playing while we're on the ice.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um, Ben, I don't know if you have any more questions that you had set up, but I ran through all of mine.
Yeah, I think I got through all mine. I'll take a look here real quick. I guess there was one I didn't get to, just because the topic changed. But Nick mentioned the coaching staff. Did you notice a different style of leadership? Like, I guess your captain would have been Peyton Krebs. Yeah, who's an extremely good player and was in the World Junior and came back. Was there something unique that the older guys in that league, something unique that they did as leaders, something that you've never seen before, or it had different leadership styles?
Honestly, just like their kind of like the inclusion, like just how they included everybody and everything. They didn't really leave the new guys to fend for themselves. Especially, Payne Krebs is probably, one of the best guys I know off the ice. Probably one of the best, like, top 5 hockey players I've played with or I've ever played with. Yeah, I think all the older guys did a really good job of, kind of including everyone and, making sure no one was picked on, no one was kind of discluded. So it was really awesome.
Really just team first mentality and leading by example.
Yeah, 100%.
And really that goes back to what Nick brought up with ideals. They're setting the ideal for what the younger guys strive to be, which is something that you're doing as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so yeah, that was all I had.
Oh, perfect, man. I was just asking because we're running over an hour, and
yeah, totally.
And and as a Muslim man, it is Eid today, so we're gonna go enjoy Eid. So Daniel, really thanks for coming on and talking to us about this. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, we really appreciate the time.
And I know that many younger goalies are gonna be super pumped to hear you kind of talk about your experience in the WHL and your insight on training, all those things too. So thank you.
Yeah, it was awesome. Thank you. Thanks for having me on here. It was great.
Hey, anytime really, and we not only I know we coach you and everything, but we definitely you do inspire us at the same time. You're a super hard worker. You never take no for an answer. So you're really inspiring. You're not only just a goalie that you coach, you're somebody who inspires us as well. So thank you for that as well.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
All right, well, we're gonna end the stream here. So thanks for everybody else that was listening. And if you'd like us to have Daniel again on, just send us a message, and we'll definitely try to make